you have to trust your systems. Goals will get you so far, but systems will get you to that next level. And that's where you have to have a culture. You have to have core values. You have to have the same messaging from top to bottom. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD Podcast. I'm taking my practice, some actual happenings, and applying some life lessons. I feel like I have more to share right now that's new to me because I'm at a new level. I'm trying to hit that, multiple doctor, multiple office stage, right? Things are coming to my attention that I believe I can help you not hit the road bumps or be better prepared than I have been. So listen to my experience, listen to my wisdom, get better from it. We have the closing thought of the episode. This is the Ultimate OD Podcast. Here we go. All right, my friends, the Ultimate OD Podcast. Thank you for tuning in, the likes, listens. Thank you for just being here, hanging out with me, and talking optometry. We had our office party. We don't have a Christmas party or end of the year celebration. It's just so crazy with Thanksgiving, Christmas, trying to coordinate with the whole office. So January is when we get together. Just something that I've done. Gives us something to look forward to because January through March is pretty stinking busy. We have people coming in. There's not a lot of time off. So something that we do to just keep morale up and high. And it was good. We had that meal. Good times. It was a crazy week though. And this is something that I'm going to tie it into culture, your staff, how you're managing that and making sure you have a good beat on things. But let me explain. We've had an interesting 6 months. We were moving to a new office, a bigger office, adding a new doctor, and all of I was overstaffed. I was ready to move. We had everything in place, and then the wheels came off. And we had 3 people, I think, leave. 1 we let go, and then 2, just one moved that was quite far away, and got a job at a hospital out there, and the other one moved like an hour away, bought a house an hour away. Don't know why I didn't think she was going to leave, but she did, and we had to fill the void. Tried using Build My Team, awful, don't recommend. So it just took us forever. So we had to fill a void. And I looked at my managers at one point. I'm like, hey, someone's got to be doing the workups. We have another doctor coming on. We have to get some people in here. And we filled the void. Okay. Now, I kid you not. During that time, we've had probably 3 or 4 people that worked for 2 or less days. I don't know why. And just walked off the job or didn't come back. Well, we finally got a good team together. Our optical is thriving. They work well. They're a team, and that's what I love. My front desk has been something less than ideal. So we've been interviewing this entire time, and we found 2 people we really liked, did some navigating, but that leads you to the point where you have to let 2 people go. And I'll tell you this right now, you have to be aware of the temperature of the room, right? The 2 people that we were letting go weren't dream team members by any means. They were getting by. We were serviceable, but they weren't bringing a lot to the office. But people will see you letting people go, and they get worried, right? It can be a real downer if you let one person go. When you're letting 2 go, and literally we're doing it on the same week, a lot that you have to balance. Well, this is how it played out. One person, we could have done it at the end of the week on a Friday, right? Busy week coming up. We're like, let's get through a few days, and then we're gonna pull the plug, right? We don't want overlap with the new people coming in and the old people leaving, so we'll do that. Well, one was out on Monday, just had time off, and we got a blizzard here in Michigan. I mean, we're talking 18 plus inches over 4 days in the single digit weather-wise. So just snowpocalypse, right? Hit us all. And the one team member who we didn't want to be part of the team anymore, if it snowed, she wasn't there. One of the red flags I saw was we had, Christmas was on a Thursday. We had Christmas Eve, Christmas Day off, and then she got food poisoning the day after. All right. We have a couple of times where it snowed and I can't drive in the snow. We live in Michigan. All right. So it snowed and she texted the managers like, hey, I can't find daycare. I can't get in touch with mom. Not coming in. All right. Whatever. Fine. Not great. But I get it. I wasn't going to hold against her too much. And then ghosted us. Literally ghosted us. And we let the person that was gone Monday, came in on Tuesday, let her go. It was pretty uneventful. But the other person like made the decision for us. Just stop showing up, right? And had the audacity to text one of the members that we did let go that I don't care if I get fired. It's snowing. I'm not coming in. Oh, that's cool. The issue that I had was we have keys for all the employees to get into the office. I need that key back. I don't want to rekey the building, whatnot. And she's ghosting us, right? Long story short, got the key back. But I was concerned that by letting them go, we were going to have issues. I am constantly meeting with my team. I meet with the managers weekly, my associate weekly, and then I have a group meeting with the whole optical staff, and we go over things. And one of the things that the opticians brought up, because we reorganized their team, is that they were loving that one of the people we moved to the front desk, that they could help out, that they could do things. And I just kind of looked at them and I said, this has been the thought all along. This is what we want. And it was good to see that they weren't like, oh, we're next on the chopping block. And again, I was relaying to them this whole time, not directly, that you guys are doing great. Everything you're doing is exactly where we want to be. Our front desk, we're not necessarily where we need to be. We're trying to get everyone up to the same level, right? I'm sending that message throughout because I know what's coming. And they were hearing the message. It resonated with them, and they expressed that. I'm like, thank you for sharing that with us. That's the level we're trying to get to, right? Went out as a group, and we had a good time. There was no like, who's next, what's going on. And again, there's always going to be turnover. That's the nature of the business that we're in. But because we had great communication, because we're emphasizing core values, I have our managers talking about our core values every single week, right? Try to emphasize them on a daily, basis. When people aren't living up to those core values, it sticks out. They can sense that, there's this other thing that you got to manage, is that if you are emphasizing these core values and some people aren't exhibiting them, that's another thing. Like, are we, are they better than us? Are we not really enforcing it? So the whole point of this elaborate story was to let you know, good communication, having your core values and living by them, even if that means you have to let people go, will save you in the long run. I've been in situations where I've let this linger. Like, it's not that bad. We can, we're getting by. And it wears on the people that are living up to your standard, that are trying to be what you want them to be. You have to have everyone rowing in the same direction, right? In EOS, you get a plus if you do it most of the time, plus minus if it's some of the time. And if you don't do it most of the time, you're minus. You need majority of pluses. They can have one plus minus in your core values, but if you have more than one plus minus, or you have a minus, you got to nip that in the bud right away. So that's the gauge that I use, and I wanted to share that with you guys. And that leads me to my next point. I met with a doctor who I really, really respect. I like her. We're trying to add another doctor in the next year or two here, and it's interesting because that conversation, that core value, that circle of competency, the circle of, your expertise matters. And she's an awesome person, awesome doctor. But when I'm talking to her, she really likes a different aspect of optometry than I do, right? She's not, dry eye, ocular surface focused, ocular health and wellness. I think there's a little bit there, but that's not her passion, right? And as I'm talking to her and seeing what she's doing, I think it's amazing. Great stuff. But I'm like trying to picture that. How does that fit into our office? How do I incorporate that? And there's ways where I could make it work, but it's It's really trying to redo everything that we're doing right now. And I look at my associate that I have now, and we're step for step, stride for stride. We're talking about the same things in the exam room, and that it's easier. It's fun. It's iron sharpens iron, right? Not saying that the other doctor isn't like I'm not saying that it's not gonna work out. It might, but she has to like what we're doing, right? We're not coming in here and catering to her for the majority. We're gonna have you fit into what we do. And if we can make exceptions, we can add little wrinkles here or there to give you your fulfillment. Absolutely. But knowing what you stand for, what you value, and how you want to see patients, you gotta have that in your system. When you look at your front desk, it has to be surround sound marketing. Everyone has to be on the same page. And it's something that I never really understood until I had other people in here. My staff got as big as it is now. I have 8 full-time staff members, right? When I had like 5, 4 or 5, it's really easy to control the message. It's really easy to be the main person that's guiding the ship, right? I can pivot, I can be who I am, but the majority of the messaging is coming from me. Now that we're in this bigger office, that I'm really removed from the front end, right? You have to trust your systems. Goals will get you so far, but systems will get you to that next level. And that's where you have to have a culture. You have to have core values. You have to have the same messaging from top to bottom. When I talked to my associate about some of the experiences that she had, was she was a minority in where she was at. If someone else was seeing her patient, she didn't feel comfortable that they were giving the same advice. Something as little as, for us, like lid hygiene, right? I have patients that come in all the time and I'm talking to them about lid hygiene. They're like, how come I've never heard this before? If you're getting that in the same office, it's really hard to build what I want, build my vision, right? So anyone coming on just has to be in that same mindset. And I've thought a lot too about, well, don't you want to diversify? Don't you want to have like, well, you're the expert here, you're the expert here. That's one of the problems with our healthcare system as is we're siloing off specialties. Cardiology isn't talking with urology, isn't talking with like nephrology, right? We have all these silos and no one's looking at the big picture. When you do that within your office, I'm sure it can make you big, it can make you a monster. But from a business standpoint, for me, I get worried because if we lose, the vision therapist, or we lose the hardcore myopia management person, the pediatric person, I don't want to fill that void. I don't want to fill the scleral void, right? It's difficult in that sense. If they're sick or gone, am I just going to be able to pick up their patients and give the same level of care? I don't have that confidence, right? So that's perspective on something new that I'm learning as I'm growing, right? When it's just you and you're by yourself, it's really stinking easy because you're the only person talking to the patient. As you grow and expand, this is something that I'm in this phase. Like I've moved to that next level. I'm very consciously aware of. You have to have people that practice in the same manner, method, value the same things as you. It makes things more fun, but it also gives a better patient experience. It defines your office. So just something that I've really been thinking about, I'm living it right now, is that staff turnover, we survived it because we have a good culture. Thankfully, we've been emphasizing that and we're giving out the same messaging. As we grow and expand with doctors, that culture is the defining characteristic of who we're going to hire, right? Know what you stand for, know what you do, and hire accordingly, right? And practice accordingly. If you want to add or change something, even though I'm the owner, I set the tone, all of us have to be on the same page. If I'm going to go really off on a tangent, we have to make sure that it's sustainable. It just, everyone has to be on the same page. That's just something I'm buying into. I'm doubling down on. Take it for what you will. But if you're trying to grow your practice, that's something I'm encountering right now, and that's my advice. The last thing, I'm going to give you a little nugget of fun here. When you are putting frames in your optical. Okay, you're gonna have frames that are your core that are gonna move like crazy, right? And then you're gonna have high end frames. Like we have Woo in our optical. It's a lot. It's very out there. Um, it's a higher price point, but it moves. We do have it does sell, but because it's like a $400 price point, when a patient doesn't like it, it will sell a $300 frame because they've went there. And the perfect example is we have Nike frames in our office, and they've always done really well, and they still do really well. But the price point's quite a bit higher. Well, we are killing it with Under Armour, right? And I talked to my staff. I go, why are we having this? And it's partly how we've organized things in the new optical, but two, patients will come, they'll look at the Nike, and they're like, we like the price point of the Under Armour. It has a little bit different fit or style, but it still has that active feel to it. And we are selling the crap out of Under Armour because of Nike. So that tells me, like, oh, do you get rid of Nike and just get a lot more Under Armour? No. Like, Nike still moves, but you got to realize Nike is selling Under Armour, right? That higher price point and that being on your board is why Under Armour's moving. It's a loss leader, right? It gives them a higher price point that they're anchoring from. So the other one's there, but it has the same fit and feel. So set up your optical in such a way that you have frames that are higher end or up there, and you have a complementary brand that's more cost effective, and you'll see that you'll still sell those high end ones for people that are just committed to the brand or really want that. But those higher end brands will sell the lower end material. If you just have that lower end material and that's now your core, you're going to sell less of that because that's your high now. That's where they're anchoring from. So, again, just something I've noticed in my optical. I wanted to give you that little tidbit of advice. This is more of a like experience and what I'm noticing in my practice, but there's lessons in here, my friends. Culture, know what you do it well, and then just a little tidbit on optical. We'll have more for you next week. Where has the time gone? We are to the closing thought of the episode, and I'll leave you with this. Discomfort means the brain is on the verge of change. If we stay with the struggle until we experience a little progress, the dopamine tells the brain that this new approach is working better than the old one. This is what starts the neural rewiring process. If we don't try, the brain never rewires for the better. If we quit, the brain will get better at quitting. If we keep going, the brain will get better at persisting. It's science, my friends. You have to embrace the struggle. You have to like the discomfort. And it's just telling yourself that narrative, telling yourself that story. I read another thing along those lines, and it's Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know why Jerry's been part of my topic right now, but he's coming up in my world quite a bit. But he was looking at himself, and he's a writer. And he's like, I write every day. I'd go to a coffee shop, and I'd write. And there's times when I didn't want to do it. We're talking about that point of discomfort, right? And then I look up and I see these construction workers who had just gone from lunch and they're kind of trudging back to work. And you could tell by their body language that, man, they're tired. It's hot as crap out, but they're going back to work because it's their job, right? And that's the mentality that you need to have in whatever you do, whether you're an optometrist, whether you're a writer. Sometimes you don't feel like doing it, but you just show up and go and do the work, right? That's how I feel I've got to this point, because there's a lot of times when I've looked at my situation, my moment, and been like, what the crap are you doing this for? Your staff's like all gone. You're by yourself. Everyone's against you. Patients aren't happy at times. But that's a microcosm of the good and amazingness that we have right now. When I was talking to the people at the dinner, my staff and coworkers, some people that have been there, I'm like, yeah, we used to work Saturdays. The first year I worked 7 days a week for a year straight. Sundays I drive 3 hours to Brighton, work at a Costco, and come back. And now my schedule is what it is. I don't work Fridays. I'm out by my last appointment. I'm out by 4 Tuesday through Thursday by choice. I could work later if I wanted, but because I persisted, I didn't give up. I didn't get better at quitting. Now, again, even when I did this, I'll tell you this, that pain I felt when we moved to the new office, and it wasn't as easy. When there's a bunch of new stuff coming at you, you look at your HRV on your watch and the stress level that I was feeling, the aches and pains that came back in my neck, and I'm like, oh, that's just straight tension, right? And the struggles of like, I'm gonna let people go. It still bothers me to this day, even if they are garbage, because I feel like I've let them down in some way, shape, or form. Now, again, take that with a grain of salt. Some people are better off not here, right? But I hate that feeling, right? I own it. I'll do it. I have no qualms if you're not helping the mission, because I owe it to the rest of the staff. I owe it to the patients to give them the best possible experience, right? But it's not easy, my friends. But if you keep persisting, if you keep going, you will see better days. That's what I got for you. Dr. Lily out.